What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is T.E. Lawrence, and welcome to my IRL channel. Yeah, I decided to create a third channel for IRL content. So, yeah, another surprise there. For those who migrated from my other two main channels, T.E. Lawrence and Lawrence of Valeria, you might be thinking, really? A third channel? Didn't you just create the second channel, the Valeria one, not too long ago? Hasn't it only been like a week or something? And yeah, you're right. And your concern is perfectly warranted if you think that I'm probably stretching myself a bit too thin, but rest assured that's not going to be a concern. And I'm about to go over that pretty soon, but let me first introduce this channel by listing why I decided to create this third IRL channel in the first place. And let's see. And just to keep myself organized, I decided to write a bunch of bullet points down in my notes right here, which I'm holding in a notebook. And yeah, and also if you're wondering, what I'm using to record right now is my phone, which is standing on a tripod, which is also why you can see both my hands right here. Yeah, I'm not holding my phone, so, and I purchased a tripod specifically for that. Anyways, so, point number one, let's see, So, I would like to document my life more. I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but at least when I grew up, diaries were still a thing where people, mostly girls, I'd say, would write down their thoughts and their day-to-day experiences in a notebook and whatnot. Very, cliche, stereotypical diary stuff. And I'd like to basically use this channel as a form of a digital diary of some sorts. And the reason why I would like to do that is because what I've noticed pretty recently is that as I've gotten older, the memories that I had when I was a child, especially the further back you go, become a lot more obscure and faint. And I think that's a perfectly natural thing because, memories do fade, especially the farther back ones do fade as you get older, as your brain needs to make additional spaces, but it needs to free up space in your storage to make room for your more recent memories, because the ones that happened when you were a kid probably aren't super relevant anymore. It needs to really prioritize, I don't know where I'm getting at. I'm not a neuroscientist, but basically, it needs to make room for more important stuff that are for utilitarian purposes that are more recent and whatnot. So, anyways, but that's also really unfortunate because I had a lot of fun memories when I was a kid, especially a lot of the places that I would travel to around the world. And while I do distinctively remember having those experiences, I can't really vividly picture myself in the exact details of the experiences that I had back then. So, fortunately, my parents did manage to take a lot of photos and document a lot of that stuff, which is nice, so I can look back at some of them. But I would like to start partaking in that endeavor myself by utilizing this channel to document any upcoming experiences and fun memories that I might have, such as my travels and whatnot, which I'm also going to get to later on. So, and then not just travels, but anything else interesting that I come across. So, again, basically like a digital diary, except in the form of a YouTube channel, an IRL YouTube channel. So, and I guess and to keep let's see my notes here. And to add more to the whole digital diary point, I would like to have something to look back to when I get older, because I don't really like to get into this topic because of some fairly recent events that have happened, but I guess to keep it short, we're all gonna get old eventually. Eventually, we're all gonna be bedridden, and when I inevitably get to that stage as well, I would like to have something to look back towards to look back at the life that I lived and hopefully a lot of the prospective fun memories that I made along the way. So yeah. Anyways, and let's see the last bullet point here. And yeah, I think the focus is mostly gonna be on a lot of the travels that I partake in. Gonna get to this a little bit later, but in a couple days I am going to California to visit a family member, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to really start documenting my travels. So, and there will be more travels to come as well, but not just traveling, but anything else really interesting that might come across in my life, or anything that I might decide to do out of a whim, such as I don't know, like cooking, for example, because I absolutely love cooking, even despite the really tiny kitchen that I have. It's one of those hobbies that have nothing to do with art that I really enjoy for its own sake. So, yeah, there's that. Now, on to the next point. Let's see. I'd like to become a better orator. Now, you might be noticing right now, what you're hearing right now is very different from what you hear from my main channel. In my main channel, everything is scripted. I really prepare myself mentally to sound much more professionally, like a radio host and whatnot. But here, other than a few notes and bullet points that I've written down here, I'm really just winging it. I'm not going off a script right now. I'm really just talking verbatim. And yeah, you can tell right now how nervous and overly cautious I sound with my tone. But here's the thing. If you want to become a better orator or speaker in general, you need to be able to, just start winging it like this without having to rely on crutches like a script. And it's something that I would really like to get better at, because while I don't consider myself to be a bad speaker necessarily, public speaking is certainly something that I really struggled to do for a long time, and there's all sorts of reasons for that, which I'm not gonna get into at the moment, maybe for a future video, but yeah. And in any case, I realize now how much of a detriment that has been, and I would really like to turn that around and fix that. So, but what's fortunate is that starting YouTube with my main channel about a year ago really was the first stepping stone for that change, because it allowed me to practice speaking in a much more safe and controlled setting by utilizing a script where I didn't need to wing it and just had to read out the words that I wrote. And unlike a typical public speaking setting where you're speaking in front of hundreds of people and just relying on your own thoughts, here, I can really just hit record, say my piece, and once I'm finished, I can hit record off, or turn it off. And if something doesn't turn out well, or if I mess up, I can just redo it as much as I can. So it really allowed me to take these baby steps to really get myself acclimated in a much more controlled and gradual way. But that being said, though, I would like to do more than that and not just stick to this very, what would you call it? Struggling to come up with the words. I want to take off the training wheels, like the training wheels you use in a bicycle. I'd like to become a much more functioning person, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, but and I think what really encouraged me to really go with this IRL channel as well is that I started live streaming back in March, I think. Yeah. And that was the first time where I really did have to basically wing it without a script and just, you know, start speaking not verbatim. Yeah, just try to speak much more naturally. And at first I was really nervous because I thought I would sound very awkward and use a lot of filler words like ums and ifs and whatnot, which I did. But even so, despite a lot of the setbacks, I guess, the live stream did turn out to be a lot better than I expected. So yeah, and this is despite the fact that I was also a little bit hungover because of a birthday party I attended the previous night. But still, I performed a lot better, suffice to say, than I expected. So, and that was a telltale sign that, hey, maybe I am ready for an IRL channel like this. So yeah, and here we are now. But yeah, as you can see though, I am still struggling a little bit because once again, this is the first time I'm recording myself speaking like this without a script and just winging it. So yeah, and I can already tell how embarrassing this is gonna look once I'm at the editing stage. But you know what? You gotta make embarrassing mistakes like this if you want to get better. So, and again, this is just the first video. And if you look at some of my earlier videos in my main channel, yeah, they're pretty terrible compared to what they are now. So it's just a natural part of life. You live and you learn. So yeah. Let's see. Now to the third point. I would like to revive the old style of YouTube. And what I mean by that is the YouTube as it was back in the late 2000s and even the early 2010s. Now, just for context, for some of you younger folks, YouTube was a pretty different landscape back then as it is from nowadays. Nowadays, YouTube is much more professional, it's much more sanitized, and dare I say even corporatized. It's basically become the new television. And I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing necessarily, because YouTube has grown to so much prominence, there's so much content you can choose from, where it really does serve as a good alternative to TV. And yeah, I think more and more people are starting to prefer YouTube over typical cable television anyways. But anyways, old YouTube in comparison though was anything but that. It really was just a video sharing website and nothing more. And hold on, I think my neighbor's taking a shower. Whatever. If you hear the water flowing in the pipes, apologize in advance. Oh, just stop. Okay. Yeah. Old YouTube, on the other hand, it really was just a video sharing website and nothing more. And it was also much less regulated and sanitized, which made way for, let's just say, a lot of edgy content. We'll leave it at that. Basically, it was a Wild West. So, and what I mean by bringing back the old style of YouTube, I'm not saying that I want to bring back that type of content. But what I am trying to say is that because old YouTube was nothing more than just a video sharing website, people treated it as exactly that. People just uploaded videos for fun out of pure joy and hobby without any intention of turning it into a career or looking for fame or clout like a lot of people are doing nowadays. Yeah, it really was just a pure form of hobby and passion, nothing more. People made whatever videos they wanted, when they wanted, and because they loved it, not for any other exterior motives necessarily or incentives. And yeah, and while I do admit that I'm trying to make my other two main channels, T. Lawrence and Lawrence of Valeria, into a proper career, I still want to maintain that casual and hobby-like energy that old YouTube was able to provide. And I figured that this little IRL third channel would be the perfect fit for that. Because unlike the two main channels, this one, I have no intention of going professional. Which is also why, just like these old YouTube videos, there will be it's not going to look as professional or pristine, if that makes sense. There's going to be little editing involved, and there's not going to be any upload schedule. I'm not going to be concerned with subscribers. It's really going to be something that I do just for fun, just for me, nothing more. And one of those being documenting my travels and again, anything else interesting that happens in my daily life. So yeah. And even if a lot of these older YouTube videos from the 2000s do look a lot more shoddy and poorly edited and grainy as opposed to what we see today, there is something weirdly nostalgic about that, which is why, again, it's something that I would like to bring back a little bit by reviving some of that myself. So yeah. So once again, to summarize the nature of this channel and the videos, there will be little to no editing, there will be no upload schedules, there will be no niches. I'm gonna just post whatever I want. It's probably mostly gonna, that did not sound right. It's probably gonna revolve around traveling mostly, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna try to fit in anything else interesting that I come across. So yeah. And of course there will be no subscriber goals either. So, which is also why I really could care less if this channel gets monetized or not. I mean, that will be nice, but again, that's not gonna be the impetus for the content or videos I make on this channel. So yeah, there's that. Now on to the fourth and last point is I want to keep trying different and new things. Now, this could be a video of its own because of just how important this topic is to me. And I also wrote down a bunch of bullet points as well because I have a lot to say, but just to ensure that this doesn't go on too long because this video is getting long enough as it is, I'll try to be as concise as possible. But a couple months ago, I released a video on the main channel called Be More Than Just an Artist. And basically the message of the video is that if you want to make it as a professional artist, you need to do more than just be an artist or just making artwork. You need to utilize other skills as well to complement your artwork to ensure that it gets seen, that you're able to actually make some financial gains from it and make a living off it. So yeah, but I also decided to basically carry through that basic message and expand it to and apply to my life in general as well, because here's the thing, life is not just some one-dimensional journey where you focus on one thing only. Because people are also not one-dimensional beings. We're not just defined by our careers or our skills or anything else for that matter. We are multidimensional beings that are a collection of many different things at once, not just our careers especially. And unfortunately, some people fall into this trap where they do have this very one-dimensional mindset and they view life in such a one-dimensional manner, in that they develop this tunnel vision of hyper-fixating on one thing only, really, with tooth and nail, of just avoiding everything else. And while that can be beneficial in some very specific ways, I had to learn the hard way last year at 2024, in that having this kind of approach to not just art, but in life in general, is a surefire way for you to crash and burn, and as well as stagnate as well, because by developing this really hyper-focused, hyper-specialized tunnel vision mindset, you unfortunately miss out on a lot of opportunities that come along your way that really could have helped you out, but you choose to ignore that because, again, you're so focused on one thing only. Like, I will be nothing more than just this one thing, Therefore, I'm not gonna bother with anything else. That is a very dangerous mindset to have. Now, some of them might be rebuking what I'm saying here by saying, but if something is so, important and quintessential to you, to the point where everything else is just trivial, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to really go into monk mode and hunker down and just focus on one thing only. And perhaps it might be the case for some people, but here's the thing though. I thought I was that kind of person for many years until last year I had to find out the hard way and just how detrimental that kind of mindset was to me. And while I did certainly improve in my art skills, I have to be honest with you, everything else in my real life, I really began to neglect, and in fact, to go even further, some parts even started deteriorating even more. Whether it's my personal health or my relationships and everything else that normal functioning human beings should have and really take for granted. And I'm not saying that it's not important to prioritize your goals and dreams, and that as well as that you shouldn't have to sacrifice certain things in your life to achieve a greater cause. I'm not saying that at all. But at the same time though, there is a much more efficacious way to achieve your dreams and goals without having to sacrifice some very basic and important things in your life, such as your personal health and relationships. Because don't forget, you're still a human being, okay? And human beings have fundamental needs and desires that should not be ignored, and especially your health. And it doesn't matter how ambitious or important your dreams are, I don't think any of them outweigh your well-being as a human being, whether it's your health or relationships and whatnot. So, yeah. And secondly, even if something doesn't necessarily have anything to directly do with your career or your main goal or whatever it is that's super important to you, that doesn't mean that it's inherently useless or something that you shouldn't bother with. Because, in a way, it might end up benefiting you in indirect ways that you may not have known or foreseen. For example, me, when I started YouTube, my main channel, T.E. Lawrence, initially, it was nothing more than just a hobby to pass time and to really get me out of the funk that I was in back then. Because, I wasn't just gonna mope around and wallow in pity, and I was still gonna try to be productive while also engaging in something new and creative. And lo and behold, after doing it for a while, YouTube started to show a little bit of potential on its own, and now it's become a completely new endeavor that's showing a lot of potential, that's providing a light at the end of the tunnel, which, again, it's not something that I could have ever predicted when I first started it as a hobby, but things naturally came together, and now it's renewed my purpose as well as reinvigorated my art dreams. And by doing YouTube, it's shown me that by trying different and unrelated things, it can still end up benefiting me in unexpected ways, as well as prove that I can be more than just an artist. So, yeah, all thanks to YouTube. So that finally wraps up why I started this third IRL channel. To summarize, I'd like to, 1, start documenting my life more. Secondly, to become a better orator. Third, revive the casual and hobby-like nature of old YouTube in the 2000s. And of course, I'd like to keep trying different yet new things. So, yeah. So with all that being said, here's what you should be on the lookout for the next couple days. As stated earlier in the video, I will be traveling to California a couple days, and I definitely intend to document and vlog my journey along the way. Similar to a lot of the travel vlogging channels you see on YouTube. And I guess just to have a little make a minor note on the whole travel vlog thing. What's funny is that I actually thought about becoming a travel vlogging channel back when I was still in college. So yeah, a couple of years ago, but I was a lot more shy and much more self-conscious back then, which is why I chickened out. But still, I did enjoy watching a lot of travel vloggers like Casey Neistat, for example, and can't think of anybody else, but yeah. And like I said, ever since I started the main channel about a year ago, I figured, you know what, why don't I take the next step and, revisit this idea and give it another shot. So, because I feel much more confident and much more prepared ever since I started this YouTube journey as a whole. So, yeah, gonna take full advantage of it and just wing it. We ballin'. So, yeah. Anyways, that wraps up the introduction video for this new IRL channel. Hope it didn't go on too long, especially for a first intro video. You don't want to, you want to keep it a little bit on the shorter end, but yeah, hopefully you can tolerate the length. So, oh, and one last thing. Why did I choose the name Mr. Lawrence for this channel? Well, I didn't want to just rip it off from my other two main channels and come up with something a little bit more unique, but turns out it's not exactly the case because I'm kind of ripping it off from somebody else. Fun fact, the voice actor for Plankton is called Mr. Lawrence. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Look it up. So, yeah. And you know what? It's fair because I think I do a pretty decent impression of Plankton as well. So, yeah. Hi, my name is Plankton. Come and eat at the chum bucket. Every day. Come on down and we'll stuff your face full of Yeah, so, yeah, alright. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see ya. This is, not T. Lawrence, this is Mr. Lawrence, signing out. Peace.